What up, all you cool cats and kittens, to follow on from the newsletter. We've got a live stream on Monday, and I know a lot of people have been thinking about doing live streams as well, so I thought it'd be a good idea to do a little tutorial video on how I use OBS software, which is, I think everyone's pretty much using it, but it is a fantastic tool, and I want to talk through how I use it. It's not exactly right, but I seem to get decent results out of it, what it can do as a program, how to set it up, and then some little tips and tricks that I've learned basically by watching other tutorial videos, but I thought I'd put it all in one, the things that I found useful. So first I'm going to show you what it's capable of from a streaming perspective and how it can improve your the look of your live stream. So this is one I did a couple of weeks ago before lockdown, so have a little look at this.
Last night I had a dream that I lived in a speaker, and the sky was a smoke-filled room in Ibiza. The sun was a crystal ball shining 24 hours a day. My air was the wings of the woofer bouncing off the walls. My soul was the spirit of all the children dancing. My rain was the sweat that rolled off their faces. My lightning was the strobe that filled the room like a tropical storm. This is my world, this is my planet, and my planet rocks, 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 rocks,
So as you can see on there, OBS gives you the power to create multiple scenes, as they call it, and it makes it more interesting for the viewer than just watching a static screen. It also allows you to layer it up and add other visuals such as rolling text, pictures, and other media sources like video files as transitions. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I set it up. So first of all, this is OBS. This is OBS's website. It's a free download, open broadcast software, so it's completely free. You download it from here. Obviously, use the right, download it for the right system you have, and it's a great tool. Basically, when you download it, you'll get a start screen that looks something like this. So this is OBS itself. So I'm going to talk you through different scenes, how to set them up, how to create transitions, and how to fine-tune it a little bit to make it suitable for you and what kind of hardware you have at home. So basically, I use this. I'm just going to talk you through quickly at the hardware that I use. Now, this is just it's not essential. You can use just your laptop camera if that's all you have. But I'm just going to talk you through the bits of kit I have just to make it a little bit better. So, I have a little. So I've got two cameras. So I've got two of these Logitech C920 HD Pro cameras. They're about 50 quid. Now you probably struggle to get them at the minute because every man and his dog wants to live stream. But they're about 50-60 quid, but they are brilliant. They are so resourceful, full HD. They're pretty robust as well. I mean, I've had them in laptop bags and in backpacks when I've done live streams and stuff like that, and they're pretty sturdy. So I've got two of those. What I would recommend is an audio in. So sorry, go back. So for these two, I have a little desk tripod. Which is just a screw in, dead easy, dead simple. I also have a camera tripod. Now this is the same camera tripod used for an SLR. It doesn't have to be that expensive. I think this is 30 quid, but I think one I bought was for like a tenner or something off eBay. It doesn't have to be that sturdy because it's only carrying yeah, a little camera. It's not carrying a huge heavy SLR, so dead cheap, not a problem. What I would recommend is a decent line-in audio face. So this is what I use. I use a Behringer USB UCA 202 control, and it's basically just a USB audio interface. Most of you should have that. Dead simple, plug and play, line in from your mixer out. But any USB audio interface will work. I have also one of these, which is quite handy, which is a USB extension lead. Now what this allows you to do is to get really different shots. So you can put something up, you can put one of the cameras up really high. I don't know if any of you, we've not released any of the Dolly footage, but we recorded the whole Dolly vid and had a camera right in the top corner of the room, and I only could get it up there because of a USB extension lead. So I would recommend one of these if you want to make one of your cameras a really different view, which I think makes it more interesting to watch. And they're only a couple of quid. Yeah, a couple of quid. So OBS. So get it installed, and basically you have these three control boxes at the bottom. So you have a scenes box, a source box, and a mixer box. Now the mixer box controls the audio in, and your scenes and your sources are your visuals. Now it's basic, really basic setup. So I've got this is how I had my defected stream set up. So I had a scene 1, a transition, a scene 2, a transition 2, a scene 3, and a transition 3. Now basically what that means is, it means that your stream becomes more interesting to watch because it rolls through the scenes rather than being one static video, which I find, and a few people have said, it makes it more interesting to watch as a viewer, and it's not just one static visual. So scene 1. Now when you want to create a new scene, you just click this button here, the plus button. Now a little tip of mine is to name them what they are, because it makes it so much easier when you come in to organise and edit the media inputs into it. So basically, create your scene, go over to your sources box, and you hit this button here. These are all your different types of media sources. So you've got audio input capture, audio output capture, browser, color, display capture, game capture. Now a lot of the gamers that do the stuff on YouTube, like the boy likes to watch, they use OBS and they use a game capture. So they use a HDMI out of their Xbox and into their computer as a video capture, and they can then talk over the top of it and layer it up. Image, which is pretty self-explanatory. Media source, now that's generally little video files, so I'll touch on that in a little bit. Scene, I'm not sure what that is, not really used that. Text, so on the one I showed you before, we had this scrolling text across the bottom that said Chumbo's defected only in final current stream, so that lives in there. And we'll touch a little bit about how you can use that and make it, you put little filters on it to make it look more interesting, instead of just being a standard static text. Video capture device, so that's obviously your cameras. And window capture, not sure what that is, never used it. So basically the ones I use would be audio input, I would use image, I would use media source, I would use text, and I'd use video capture. So with all that in mind, this is what my first scene looked like. So there's my scrolling text, that's my Facebook Live image file. Sorry, I just had to move the move the screen record bar. Where did I get up to? So Facebook Live, that's there. This will be my audio line in, so this will bring in the audio mixer, and then this will be my wide-cam, which is a picture of my garden at the minute. So scene 1. Now to add these onto the scene, similar to you did to add scenes, you hit plus here, select which one you want. So, and this is the only thing about the advanced stream switcher, it does work the whole time, which can be frustrating. So it's best to build your complete scenes before you activate your screen switcher. So scene 1, here's your options for your inputs. Select your video capture device, create new, or use existing, which I have here. So once you click that, it also gives you the option of using your cam that's built in, which is this one. Hello. So you can use that. So you could have, I could have 3 or 4 cameras running, but I choose to have 2 because it just makes it more simple. So you select your camera here. You have configure video, which is handy. Now the 2 things that I've learned is you want to take off autofocus, because whenever you move it's going to refocus and it doesn't make it great to watch. And you want to play around with the exposure. If you're in a dark room, then you might want to up the exposure just to get a bit of a picture. But you can take that off auto, so it stays. So if you want to turn the lights on, it would stay the same. So the only real kind of 2 settings that I use from a cam perspective. Now, once you have the cam selected, discard. So once you have your camera selected, this screen record button keeps going the same thing. You probably can't see it, but it's really annoying. You can hit properties here. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Hit properties, and if you go to transform, this is where you can rotate it or you can flip it. The best thing to do, I've found, is just to stretch the screen, which means it uses the whole screen. Oh, this is the advanced screen switcher. It uses the whole output screen, the whole output scene as a whole image device. So yeah, that's the video capture in. Scrolling text. Now this is the screen to edit that, so you can edit this without what you said. So you can say, for instance, Sean's OBS demo for Underground Collective. So you can put whatever you want in there. You can change the font, you can change the size, you can play around however you want. Just be wary that if you're going to have it on an opaque background, which I think makes it look best, that you wouldn't in a dark area of your screen or a light area of your screen if you're going to go to black text. So just be wary of that. Now the other thing you can do, so I've seen quite a few of the guys have got the text up, but they've not added the filter. So that is on scene 1 still. So there you go. So there's you can also stretch this text box so it goes across. Where's it on scrolling 3? So you can, if you unlock it there, you can stretch it. Oh, wrong one. Why is it not letting me do that? There we go. So you can move wherever you want. You can have it going up and down. See, for example, if we would stick it up there with the sky behind it, you're going to lose a lot of the text. Now down here at the bottom where it's a little bit darker, you get a better image, so you can stretch that across there so it uses the whole side of the screen. You can also make it smaller or bigger, just like you can with anything else. Now the little trick to make that roll is a filter. So if you click on scrolling text, right click, and it's this one here, filters. Now this gives you the chance to change how it looks. So again, it's this little plus button here, and you can have loads of different filters. The only one I've used before is scroll. As you can see, it's already on there. But what you can do is you can have it going both ways. So you can go like this, or you can do it like this, or you can. But I found the best way to do it is to have this set to 50, which is to 0, which is not horizontal at all. But then you can have it, sorry, not vertical at all. But then you can have it going slower or faster depending on how you want, which way you want. And that's so you just add the filter, and then you can play around with these settings on it. So you can have it going really slow if you want. So that's that. A transition is basically what you use to move between the two. move between the two scenes, and you want this going on for a really short amount of time. So you do need the audio. We'll touch on that in a minute. The best thing to do is to build all your visuals before you put the audio in. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a transition here. I'm going to add a video, a little spinning video. Now you do want it on loop. Let's see if I can find it now. It should be in the desktop. I've made a file, OBS files. So for instance, you can add this in, which Mr. Mike Kimpton built for us. Okay, and again, this is the resizing you'll have to do. You want to resize it too. This is the only other thing. Again, I need to turn that advanced scene switch it off. But basically, you get a quick idea of it there. So basically, you could have that as your transition. Where's it gone? Oh, put it into scene 2. Yeah. So basically, you just drop in this file, and when we touch on the screen switcher, the scene switcher later, we'll talk about how long you want these on for. But they basically, you just want these to move from one scene to the other. So that's scene 1 and transition 1 done. I'll get rid of that media source. Delete that. Remove. Yeah. So scene 1, scene 2. Now, I always kind of work on the fact that you want your two you want your two cameras as scene 1 and scene 2, and then a scene 3 you want to have both cameras in. So this one has got the different camera in of this one. Hello. And again, you're just layering it up. So you use the same Facebook Live in the corner, use the same scrolling text. You might have to play around with where it is in the settings. Scene 2. Image. Now move the logo. Now that's one little tip of mine is I would say get a file on the desktop and put all of your imagery and all of your OBS files in one place and don't move them, because it does not like it when you move them, because it doesn't know where it is, so it has to find a new path for it and it disappears. So I did have our branding on that, and I suppose we can add it in now. So add image, add new, we'll call it Underground Collective logo, and again just browse for it. Want something with a clear background, so not that one, let's stick that one in. So open that. Okay, and again you'll need to resize it and decide where you want to drop it in. So resize it. You want to drop that in maybe in the top corner here. Maybe you want to be a bit bigger so you can see the text. There we go. And then one tip is to, once you've got something in place, is to lock it down with this lock thing, which means you can't access it or do anything to it because it's locked down. So yeah, we could drop that into there. And then scene 3 would be, this is how I set it up. So second transition could be, I had this as defective live stream, or you can put an image into there, or you could put whatever you want into there really. But then scene 3 would be your split screen with your two cams. So you have your deck cam and your wide cam side by side. Now I've tried stretching it to the screen, but it just doesn't look very good. So what I've done is I've always just boxed them up next to each other because it seems to look a lot better. And then you add in all your other bits, so your Facebook Live, your scrolling text, and then your audio. Now, going back to audio, so audio you want to have on every single scene, because you want that constantly running through every single scene, every transition. You want the audio to be the one constant, so you have to add the audio into each scene and transition. Now what happens, to find your audio, you just drop down your device, I'm not going to plugged in at the minute, but it will pop up here, Behringer 202 USB audio interface. Select that, and then you would run a phono lead out of your mixer or your controller or whatever you're using into this, and then it would appear down here. So your audio appears down here. Now currently that's using the mics. One tip is all the cameras that you have will have a mic on them. So you see wide deck cam and wide cam. Now you want to mute them all down because you don't want any interference from any of the other audio sources other than your USB interface. So mute them all down. So your deck cam, your wide cam, mute them all. And then again, you so mute them all down basically. Let's watch a full transition phase. So this is scene 1, and we'll let it roll through, and then I'll show you how I program them, and using the advanced screen. Oh, it's really really a mouthful. The advanced scene switcher. So let it roll through. So scene 1, and we'll just let it roll through the whole thing. Transition, which would be a spinning logo or a picture, whatever you want. Scene 2, which is the straight on deck cam. Hello. Which will, I think I've got these set up for 20 seconds each. Now you want your scenes to have longer than your transitions. Transitions you literally want for a couple of seconds, and it's just to move from scene to scene and make it more interesting to watch. So I think these are on for 20 or 30 seconds, so this might stay on this for a while. There we go. Transition 2, which could be another spinning logo or an audio, onto scene 3. Now, once again, 3 scenes. Have your scenes set up as 20 seconds or 30 seconds, and have your transitions set up as 2 or 3 seconds. So it'll probably stay on this for another 10-15 seconds or so, and it'll go to transition 3. So transition 3 could be another spinning logo, could be a picture, and it goes back to scene 1. Now the key to doing this is something called advanced scene switcher. Now it's up here in the tools. It's a plugin, so you'll have to download it and install the plugin. Now there's what I sent through to the group, which I'll put on to this as well, is the link to download it, and then the install instructions. Now once you've done that, you get a page like this. So this is basically you telling OBS when to switch the scenes to transitions. But what you have to do, and I learnt this recently when we were at Liverpool, because I moved around with the scenes because one of the cameras was playing up. And because I didn't have a full oh, where's it gone? Scene sequence. Yeah, because I didn't have a full sequence, it would stop. So unless you have to have a full start to finish and back to the start instruction. So the way to do it is go to scene sequence. A lot of S's in all this. And this is where you're telling OBS how long to stay on a scene and where to switch to. So scene 1, I've got wait for 30 seconds, and it's going to go then to transition. After 30 seconds, these have gone out of order, but basically you have to have a, so you've got scene 1 to transition 1. Then you've got transition, wait for 4 seconds, go to scene 2. Scene 2, wait for 30 seconds to transition 2. Transition 2, wait for 4 seconds and go to scene 3. And transition 3, wait for 4 seconds and go to scene 1. So basically, it has to start and end with scene 1. So the first instruction is scene 1, and the last instruction has to go back to scene 1. So basically, OBS will continue to roll through this for forever, basically, as long as you have a complete circle of scenes. So scene 1, transition 1, transition 1, scene 2, transition 2, scene 3, scene 3, transition 3, transition 3, back to scene 1. And that's the crucial thing, having it go back to scene 1, because then it will start the whole pattern again. And that's basically it, really. Let's delete that off because we don't need that. Looking at my notes, little tips. Don't move the files. I did that when we set it up at North Shore Troubadour in Liverpool, and came to it and all the files had disappeared because I'd moved them all off the desktop. So my tip is to set up one file and stick all of your media in one place so it doesn't move ever. Another little tip is, once you set up something, once you add a logo, like this one here, the Underground Collective one, and you want to put it onto another scene in the same place, is you can copy it. So where's it gone? Yeah, so copy. So put it in once and copy it, and then go to the scene you want to add to and paste it, because it'll be exactly the same size. And I think even if you paste it, it even goes, yeah, paste reference or paste duplicate. If you paste duplicate, it will go exactly in the same scene at the same size in the same place. So when they roll through, your media isn't getting bigger and smaller, it's the same. That's another little tip. And yeah, my last little tip on my notes that I wrote is make the background look interesting. So going back to the stream that I did, kind of have a think about what you want to have in the picture. Now, I made this point on the round table that loads of people just set up in the kitchen and it looks awful. So try and have a pro looking background as possible. So this is in my garage, so I've got a little deck set up in there. But then the background, I've got posters up, I've got the Dini poster, Express 2. Make it look like it's, yeah, try and make it look as professional as possible, because I think it gains a little bit of credibility. If you're streaming with, you know, the kitchen sink in the background, a load of dirty pots, then it just doesn't look that great. And try and get the two images as different as possible, in my opinion. A good one is to go straight over the decks, so you're literally looking down on the decks. Now, I watched one with Jazzy Jeff the other day, and he had his camera looking down on his decks, because he's a turntablist. You want to see what he's doing with his hands. So just, yeah, try and make them as different as possible, because it just makes it more interesting to watch. And that's about it, really. Just have a look at my notes here. Yeah, that's about it. So anyone's got any questions, ping me a DM. I'll put this on YouTube and I'll send a link into Slack. But everyone's got any questions, I'm by no means an expert on it, but I've kind of pieced bits together by looking at videos myself, and these are kind of things I've learned just to get by, and it kind of produces quite a good product, to be honest. But if anyone wants to, if my voice is really annoying or it's not very clear what I've done, I think it's DJ Tech Tools. There's a guy on there who I learned all the stuff I've done, and I think there's 3 videos. There's 3 videos that he's put together, and teaches you how to do all this, basically. So yeah, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. If it was useful, great. If it wasn't, don't worry about it. There's our half-painted fences, which we need to finish off in lockdown. And I put my cap on because, oh, let's just change screen. Hang on. I put my cap on because my hair is an absolute mess, and the wife cut it while we're on lockdown. Cool. Catch you in a bit, guys. Cheers.